Insecurity and economic stagnation, two forces that have held Nigeria hostage for far too long. And today, more than ever, they are no longer separate challenges, but deeply intertwined crises. When a farmer can no longer go to his field, a transporter is too afraid to travel the highways, and an investor is hesitant to put their money in our economy, the cost of insecurity becomes more than lives lost. It becomes a question of national survival. Over the years, successful governments have promised to confront these monsters head-on. One of the most vocal of them was President Muhammadu Buhari, a former military leader turned civilian president. He rose to power on a strong three-point agenda: security, anti-corruption, and economic recovery. But nearly a decade later, and even after his demise, the big question remains: did he deliver? Well, this is where I welcome you to Politics Uncensored, your unapologetic spotlight on Nigeria's political realities. On today's episode of Politics Uncensored, we are taking a closer look at true critical issues shaping Nigeria's past and future: the impact of insecurity on our economic development and the legacy of President Muhammadu Buhari. Was it all talk and tactics, or were they tangible gains hidden in plain sight? These are some and more important cases we will discuss today. But of course, our goal will always be to provide a platform for open and honest discussions where experts and everyday citizens can share their perspectives and insights. It's also your favorite show, and we have an expert guest who will be joining us very soon. I'm your host, Okikiola Taiwo Jalukmo. You can call me the polyhumanitarian, and I'm here to make political discussions accessible to all. So we want to hear from you, because all of our episodes are all about you. So be a part of the conversation every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays to add your voice to these discussions. You can also head on to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, hit that subscribe button, like, share the link, and invite your friends to join the show now. You can also call us. We're ready to listen to you on 070-2500-7749 and 070-1424-2420. Let's hear what you have to say. We'll go on a break right now, and of course we'll return with our guests and take our top stories in the political space making headlines. Do not go anywhere. I describe myself as a polyhumanitarian, someone who believes politics should be rooted in love for country and empathy for its people. I'm thrilled to introduce to you Politics Uncensored, a show dedicated to tackling the political challenges that matter most to Nigerians. This is more than just a show. It's a space for questions about the issues that shape our nation. From tussles to governance at all levels and the overall political landscape in Nigeria. We will dive deep into how politics is impacting our everyday lives. So join me on this journey as we challenge the status quo, spark dialogue, and work together to build a brighter future for Nigeria. Let's make our voices heard and drive the change we deserve. You are still watching Politics Uncensored, and today, as I said, we're here to discuss the impact on insecurity on economic development. And as it is, Nigeria stands at the intersection of safety and survival, from the farmer in Zamfara who can no longer go to the field to the business owner in Lagos worried about interstate transportation risk. Insecurity has silently and steadily drained our economy. Joining me is someone who has both the military experience and civic insight to guide this conversation. Please welcome Ambassador Dr. Ohaimen Roy. I would be able to pronounce the surname, but I would rather sit this one out. Dr. Roy is the National Secretary of the retired members of the Nigerian Armed Forces, and of course, from The deep ends to the national defense to corridors of policy advocacy, he has seen Nigeria's story from both the battlefield and the boardroom. So please, our audiences, you should sit tight. This is not just about what went wrong. This conversation is about what we can still get right. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, too, sir. So we have to talk about some of the political brief that has been making the headlines. And talking about insecurity, we have one here that has been brought to notice, if I'll call it early enough, notice for the Nigerian government. The story here reads, Niger, no security in sight as bandits surround Rijua town. Suspected bandits in their numbers have surrounded Rijua town and neighboring communities in Rijua local council of Niger State in an attempt to attack the communities and mop up rustled cattle. The development has led to tension in the entire area. A reliable source from the area revealed that the armed bandits have invaded the communities between Mariga and Rijua local government areas, riding on no fewer than 200 motorcycles with 3 on each vehicles. The source stated that the bandits were armed with AK-47 and other dangerous weapons, moving from one community to another to gather cows. The source also alleged that the bandits came in from Zamfara State to carry out their criminal activities in the state. Reports further indicated that there are no security operatives in the entire area except a few vigilantes who are handicapped. At the same time, the people lamented that the bandits operating in intimidating numbers can do so freely due to a lack of security presence in the affected areas. The bandits are allegedly targeting Kontogara to carry out their nefarious activities in the town. The source, however, appealed to Governor Muhammadu, the Niger State Police Command, the Nigerian military, and other security agencies to intervene quickly and safeguard the area from potential attacks. At the time of filing this report, as they said, no official statement has been made by the state government or other security agencies, including the Niger State Police Command, concerning the development. Dr. Roy, what would you think about this story? We are still tackling the insecurity issues in Benue State, and we have one here again in Niger with these bandits, taking over communities and, displacing people of their livelihoods.
We also have one in Plateau State.
Absolutely.
Just within this week, and some people were also killed. Now, let us start this discussion by understanding the terminologies. Insecurity is the absence of security. So what is security? Let's use layman terms now, so everybody can understand. Security are activities that are put together to ensure there is decorum, there is stability, there is law and order, and there is freedom of the people, especially taxpayers. Especially taxpayers. There is freedom of the people, legitimate owners of the territorial integrity, which ordinarily people call citizens. Okay? So once you are legitimate owner of the territorial integrity, you are a taxpayer, you are legit, you are supposed to have freedom. Freedom to the extent of doing business, moving from one place to the other, associating with one another, and carrying out social activities, religious activities, and economic activities. Those are the alignments that we have around what we call security. Now, because of territorial integrity space and what people term as unpoliced areas and population expansion, people pay taxes to a government. And that government is supposed to pull the taxes together to provide amenities. Amenities cannot be provided without security.
Absolutely.
So security has the priority in every community. So any government that does not see security as a priority for me as a taxpayer, for me to move around, religious activities, community activities, social, economic, then that government is failing or has failed. That is my definition.
Thank you very much. And I think that this summarizes you calling out the government to do what is necessary for their citizens, because at this point, it almost seems like every morning we're waking up with new territorial takeovers by bandits, terrorists, and you know, all forms of groups that have decided that they want to destabilize Nigeria. But I hope moving on from now, some of these conversations and even the insights that you're going to give in this conversation will help security agencies that are affiliated with the government and even the state government houses to take initiative and tackle these insecurity issues in order for us to have a forward-looking economical development. But let's go on a break right now, and then of course we'll return with our hot topic for today. Please do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned. If you just tuned in, you are watching Politics Uncensored. And of course, as I said, we are here discussing the impact of insecurity on economic development. And of course, we still have Dr. and Ambassador Roy here. Well, Ambassador Roy, to begin with, can you paint a picture for us? How deep and far-reaching is the current insecurity crisis in Nigeria from your perspective as a security expert?
Well, that is a big tax, because the gallons of paint that I will need to do that painting, I don't think I have it available. Let me try.
Thank you for that.
Unknowingly to the people, that is the Nigerian citizens, certain people fought against the British and took over governance and got this permutation that we call Nigeria and every other country in the world. Now, those same people turned the leaders of Nigeria. They went into democracy, which failed. Then the military took over. When the military took over, the military made sure that the policing system was dilapidated, because the military cannot have another armed group and be enriching their capability.
I think that we have lost Dr. Roy here, and I hope his network would bring him back as soon as possible. But
same democratic dispensation that
I think we have him back.
Back.
Okay, Dr. Roy is having his network issues, so I hope he's able to sort that out as soon as possible. But here is him trying to link what has happened from the decade of the military into what we have now called the democracy. And I think that what he was also trying to do was to start to highlight some of the issues before that. And he jokingly mentioned how it would take him a lot of gallons to be able to paint, what the assessment of what insecurity has done to Nigeria. Personally, on my angle, I always talk about how I'm so suspicious of everything around me, from moving to Abuja down to Lagos, and the road between some of these areas. It's almost like you always have to be at your A game, trying to be security conscious and security wise. Well, how safe can we be in that sense? How safe can our individually, how can we individually be safe beyond all of these things that have happened? And it will bring me to ask, if I was going to drop a policy or a recommendation. Okay, I think we have Dr. Roy back.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that glitch.
Not a
Now,
problem, sir.
after the military have taken over with a lot of years seated as a government, the policing system then is that if I have any case against you, I will not call the police. I will go to the barrack and bring 1 or 2 soldiers, and I will have judgment. You know, and that continued for a long while until we had things like Nadeco and all those things that started to fight with the military, with international collaboration, that, oh, democracy must come back. AU, ECOWAS, and some other African and Western United Nations, everybody came to play, and the military shielded the space. Now, when the civilians took over, they came in with their thugs and their own kind of military to also suppress the police took over. They came in with their thugs and their own funny, because I expected that having democracy back means that we need a sane society that we compete with international nations. But we fell below par by using criminal gangs, thuggery, and cultism, enhancing cultism. In Edo State now, they have killed how many people? Go and check your journalist. Cultism is ripe and existing. Now, when these civilians are coming into democracy, because they wanted to dominate, intimidate, you will now see them bringing in military generals as one appointment or the other, you know, as a promise which was given to the military to compromise their position and not be a threat. Then the civilians that took over, that are supposed to enshrine the democracy for the people, by the people, so the benefits will be for the people, now created a cabal where they planned and designed how to benefit themselves. So they moved on to start to form parties and how to intimidate election processes. So election processes became war instead of intelligent interactions. Nobody had the right to vote for who they wanted because ballot boxes and all that would be snatched. The judiciary was now the next point of call for us to use the judiciary. But don't forget that cultism went through our primary, secondary, and universities. And there were so many police officers, military officers, judiciary personnel, all of these institutions that are supposed to ensure accountability. We have people that were sworn cult members and different kind of alliances that could intimidate their professional intervention to ensure that there was peace and stability, adherence to rule of law in Nigeria. So before you know what's happening, the whole election will go to court. So the worst thing is, let's go to the Supreme Court. And at the Supreme Court, the judgment will be given. So Nigeria went into that demise And the judges cannot wait for 4 years before they will now have their chunk of cake. So any other case coming up, they will now be postponing it. Go and try a case in Nigeria. You will see how long it will take. Sometimes you go to court, you hear that the judges are on holiday. So the politicians are on their own side. The military, they are on their own side trying to settle themselves from national cake. So the politicians are on their own side. The civilians are on their own, the citizens, sorry, are on their own side. Then the institutions, the NNPC, oil and gas, our power grid, power supply system, our mineral deposits. That is one thing that is killing Plateau State for now. All our economic exports on agro and herdsmen crisis. All of these things now bottled up to bring us to where we are.
Have analyzed all of these issues, and he has shown so clearly that our problem is not just one face. It's so interdimensional. And of course, now I agree with you that you would need a lot of gallons of paint to be able to paint this scenario for us. And looking forward to that, this has now caused us to have things like violence and even the economy being stacked against us. But let's start to connect the dots first between violence and the economy. How would you, assess the link between this rising insecurity from banditry to kidnapping to even terrorism, and even Nigeria's economic stagnation or inflation, if a lot of people will put it at that? I think inflation is the most common word used when it comes to Nigeria's economy. So how do we assess that?
Well, we all know that when a group of people are in power, I don't want to call it a political party, because political parties now are just like a charade where people pot and deport at will. So I may be in APC and I'm voted into a constitution to represent a people that voted me in. Then I will now move to PDP, PSP, or whatever name. So the political parties are just a charade. The main cabals know themselves. They meet, they plan, they constitute, design, and they harvest their assets from all of this effort. Now, so when we look at it that way, we will understand that the first thing to do is to destabilize your government. Not minding that destabilizing an existing government will not be favorable to the people, the innocent masses, But if I destabilize the government, then I can come out and say, hey, the trains are not working. Meanwhile, I am part of the destabilization of the railway system. Hey, the power supply is not working. Then I will now be one of the chief importer of generators. Hey, the criminals are everywhere. The police is not working. Let us rejig. After rejig, you will hear that they will now form other groups like the EFCC have to break out from SFU, police financial crime. You now form the EFCC through another government. All of them, you now see the police traffic is there. We now have road safety. They brought it out.
Absolutely.
We now have a vigilante group. We have hunters group, mixing up with the military and the police, joint task force. Then somebody will just come and say, let us rejig the security. They will call all of them, spend money on committees. All the reports of the committees are never executed, So when we began to have this gave room for area boys, hoodlums, and street urchins to become the order of the day. So many of them are big boys today. During when President Tinubu took over, one of them went to Aso Rock and was standing in front of the premises where we have the elite brigade of guards. Madam, if you know what it is to be in Brigade of Guards, even I, when they wanted to post me to Brigade of Guard, I was praying that it should not go through. Because when you are among the Brigade of Guard in Abuja there, under protection of the Federal Capital and the FCT, you will know what it is. A man stood there and was saying that he's in charge of security from the whole of Kaduna-Abuja Expressway, that he's in charge of security, that what the military cannot do, he is doing it, that the military is weak. Tompolo, sorry, the other guy, and he walked away from that place, after making those statements. Now he's coming on videos saying that the government is not good. The other guy from Lagos, what is his name? MC Oluomo or something. He stabs, he breaks bottles, he makes sure they shoot guns and everything during every election. Today, I'm hearing that he's in Abuja or wherever. So all the police officers have to calm down. Because if you arrest these boys, just quickly do a media trial. Because somebody will call you the next minute to say, release them for us. So we moved away from there and started to dilapidate other people's government so we can say it is bad and campaign against it and come in. So Buhari, Tinubu, what's his name? Jonathan, Otto, Shehu Shagari, all those presidents that you see, the same cabal are those serving them underneath and making sure that the bread of the land is shared to the rightful owners.
Everybody will say that they want to eat, be part of the national cake, and the national cake is causing civilians to lose their lives and properties at this point. Well, it seems like these conversations go over the government's head, apart from, news headlines and interviews that they grant talking about how they want to tackle insecurity, especially when it's during the election cycle. We see that even when they get into office, we don't see any result, or it's just talk and talk and talk and talk. And I've always had reservations against this committee that they usually talk about. Any small issue, we have brought a community and a committee to address and tackle this thing, but it's just all talk and no do. And I remember very well that a lot of international organizations have made recommendations to how Nigeria should start to tackle insecurity, and even certain investments into insecurity issues. And we just hear about the amounts, but no transparency on how this amount was spent, or how it's going to tackle insecurity, or in what ways are even these security or agencies or operatives going to go into that system and make sure that there's peace and quiet in that area again. So what do you think first is our major issue in tackling this insecurity problem? We know that they know that there's insecurity. It's everywhere on the news. They are aware of it. These cabals know, because for some reasons, I would say that they are eating from the problem that is happening in Nigeria. There's the big four, big 10, or big whatever number that is taking, that is basking in the joy that Nigerians are suffering. So how do you think that we can start to address this issue?
Well, we must first of all observe a certain word. There is a word or two that ensures security. One of the words that ensures security is accountability.
Absolutely.
Everyone put at the helms of affairs to ensure security is also called to accountability. But, the other word is punitive measures. Accountability and punitive measures, because we have laws. Laws can, but account. You can go to the National Assembly, you can change some laws, the president can come and say, I am giving a veto power, I'm giving an executive order, you know, there can be curfew can be imposed, you know, but all of it must fall under accountability and punitive measures. Now, if there is accountability, that means every institution must find himself professional or will be held accountable. So when you hear that two people died go and kill one Saudi Arabian, one Saudi Arabian to die. No, let me even use Rwanda that just came out of genocide. Let one Rwandan die. Go and see what they do to herdsmen in Ghana. You know, so there is something that happens under your watch. You are held accountable. No matter who you know, no matter who your godfather is, no matter who put you in office, you are held accountable. And the best accountability is when people quickly, wisely own up to accountability and say, I am resigning because what I have to counter this is not working and people are dying, you know? So when you own up, that means there are punitive measures because every office that we have, brigadier, the chief of police, the local government chairman, even the local government chairman and the traditional rulers, they are being found culpable now for corruption and what do you call it, ransom, collecting ransom. So if you see accountability can hold the ground, then punitive measures can capture those that break the lines of accountability. Then you begin to see office holders becoming professionals, and you begin to see citizens becoming disciplined.
I believe that if service becomes maybe less attractive, we will see better numbers of people who are passionate about the country actually come in to make that work, because I don't see the change. I've not spent so many years in the world, but I've not been able to categorically say that I've seen a particular change happen that has been so massive that Nigeria felt it and gave us that ease. It's been one step forward, 10 steps backwards. That's what I've been experiencing. The only thing I've seen that is constant is every election cycle, there's new manifesto, or maybe same old in that sense, but new tactics on how to remain in power and not necessarily what should be done for the citizens. If we move into the agricultural sector now, let's start to address that. How do you think that this insecurity, I know that our food basket at this point is at risk. And just yesterday, I read where they were talking about UK opening about 3,000 market openings for Nigerians to be able to export things like cashew, ginger, and some of these things. But I know in Nigeria that ginger is expensive, and we are short of ginger and cashew in Nigeria. So I was battling with people are seeing this as a great opportunity, that something you buy at 1,600 here, you can sell at 18,000 naira when it is being exported to the UK. But leaving behind that, we already have a food crisis, which can even worsen over the years. So how do you think that we can start to address the agricultural sector, and how these, if not properly taken care of, can affect our productivity and, you know, food security in general?
You see, I asked someone the other day, I said, who is the Minister of Agriculture? From January to June, July now that we are, How many times have you seen the Minister of Agriculture maybe come to TV, maybe visited a farm, maybe launching a new agricultural system project? The Minister of Agriculture maybe come to TV, maybe visited a farm, maybe
About him.
agriculture is supposed to be one of the pari passu projects like oil and gas in Nigeria, because agriculture was our main export, main economic advantage before we discovered oil. You know, so agriculture also is now an avenue where insecurity has been advanced. So the Minister of Agriculture, what is his role in discussing with all the warring factions and the processes of our agricultural system that is creating this infraction? Let me give you an example. Herdsmen have cows. They are supposed to fall under Ministry of Agriculture. Mieti Allah, or whatever they call it, supposed to fall under approval from the Ministry of Agriculture. All our security companies, I have a security company in Nigeria, the Ministry of Interior and the Civil Defense must approve and regulate and monitor us. So the Ministry of Agriculture is supposed to monitor some bodies like Mieti Allah, may be able to disband them, may be able to give them rules of engagement or whatever. And herding cows is under agriculture. If the system is not appropriate for our cohesing together, then the Ministry of Agriculture is supposed to spearhead a coordinating system that will separate it from the violence that we are seeing today. Now, look at crops. All the farmers cannot go to their farm. Let us leave the farmers that cannot go to their farm. Let us look at those that could farm and need to move the crops from point A to point B. Is it not possible? I've said this a million times. Is it not possible in this current insecurity situation to say, Ambassador Roy, you have a farm? Yes. You have potatoes? Yes. Are they ready for harvest? Yes. Why can't the government come and help to move my potatoes from point of harvest to point of sale or disbursement, and ensure that that insurance is done? Because I'm a taxpayer. I pay tax, you know, and those farmers, they pay two types of tax. They pay one to the government, they pay to bandits.
Yes.
Those farmers that you see,
absolutely, they
pay to bandits and they pay to government. What kind of human being do we have in governance in this country? What kind of spirit do you have that you can sleep? You are using the taxpayers' money to coordinate your welfare scheme among yourself, and the farmer is being raped and killed in his farm. The ones that could salvage their crops out to the market, the value has dropped. And you have the audacity to sit down where you are, and you are going to visit them, and you come back and leave them in their peril. What kind of people do we have in government?
This is going to be us directly calling out the Honourable Minister of Agriculture, Senator Abubakar Kyari. We are asking, what exactly are you doing? It's not about visitations at this point. What exactly are you doing to curb this insecurity? But we obviously have to wrap up this segment. Doctor, it's been amazing hearing what you have to say and your passion for Nigeria and the change that you want for Nigeria. So let's wrap this up with, if you had the chance to probably recommend one urgent policy to curb insecurity today, what would that be?
I would like to have 3 people 3 people that I can create by myself. 3 people that I know that with the grace of God, they cannot be influenced by the current criminal architecture. One of those people is going to be the head of the judiciary to ensure that the Constitution survives and protects the common man. The second person will be the head of police to ensure that he does not favor any Dick or Jack or Harry, and make sure that arrests are done, proper investigations are done, and evidence and culprits are pushed to the judiciary for penalties. The third person I would like to create is the Chief of Defense Staff, the one that will control the Army, Navy, and the Air Force, and ensure that they collaborate with other agencies properly, and they keep their statutory roles without fear of favor. Those are the 3 people you need to create in Nigeria. If you can do that, then we will see people that left begin to come back. White people from different countries will come back. Even Ghanaians that we said Ghana must go, they will come back because Nigeria is fruitful and productive.
I hope that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu can hear you and knows that these people that you have highlighted is the people that we need to tackle anything that has to do with insecurity and the economic challenges in Nigeria. But now, throwing this to the audience, which of these do you believe had the most impact on Nigeria's economy in the last decade? Would you think that is insecurity and terrorism, or poor economic policy and implementation, corruption and lack of accountability, or just global economic factors beyond Nigeria's control? Drop your answer in the comments and tell us why you chose that option. We just would love to read it live on air. So let's take a breather right now, and then we'll be right back shortly going into another segment for today. Please stay tuned.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back. You are still watching Politics Uncensored. Now we want to talk briefly about the ex-president Muhammadu Buhari, who we lost 13th of July 2025, and it was quite a sad one. And just yesterday, he was buried in his household with a lot of people in tears and a lot of sad people and notable Nigerian government officials going up to visit, to his condolence visit. But now let's start to talk about some of his policies and what people really viewed about the president. I think over the weekend, Twitter, now known as X, had too much for me to read. It was like people were happy, or some people were happy about his death. In some cases, some people were genuinely concerned about his family. Some were very sad about losing the ex-president Buhari. But now I want to ask Doctor directly. Let's start this off honestly. In your own view, how do you think Nigerians and historians should remember the ex-president Muhammadu Buhari?
Okay. I've told a lot of people that I will not make comments on this as a civilian. I will not make comments on this as a Nigerian citizen. Okay? Because the president, Muhammadu Buhari, late President Muhammadu Buhari, that ruled as a military president, is not the same person that ruled as a civilian president. My reason. As a military president, it is go and you go, come and you come. Martial music has been played. As a civilian, democratically elected president under a political party, it is, Oga, this is how we do it in the party. I don't want to do it like that. I want discipline. Oga, that man that violated that thing is the one that gave us 2 million votes in Bayelsa. So what do we do, sir? Okay, so what do we do? So, sir, leave it, we will handle it. So that is the democratic president that you usually have in Nigeria. When push comes to shove, the party interest comes first before you and your personal interest. So if you want me to speak about the military president or the democratic president, you will also see that where Nigeria found itself today is because the presidency is not one person. What President Buhari could do as a president, as a military president, is different from what he could do as a democratically elected president. Now, as a veteran, as a military veteran, all my colleagues, majority of my colleagues on all our WhatsApp group, they are giving accolades to the president. And I asked one question. Nobody has been able to help me answer that question. All the things that were approved for military veterans, did we not get them after protest? Did we not get those approval after we have protested? The approvals that we get, can we beat our chest to say they were satisfactory? They were not. And he benefited from every protest that I took part in. I lay down on concrete in front of Ministry of Defense for 2 days. I was on protest with other military veterans. He was looking at us from his office. Minister of Defense was also a veteran. National Security Advisor was also a veteran. None of them went to the National Assembly. None of them went to Ministry of Finance. It was still we that went to Ministry of Finance and blocked the gates before we started getting alert. These same people were also getting alert. I'm sure he would have gotten alert and transferred some money to Madam. Say, I beg, cook for me. From my own protest. I don't have anything to say. Those that are praising rubbish, let them continue.
I needed to breathe in and breathe out after that bomb that you just dropped. Well, you have said that a lot of people from your group were giving accolades to, but you differ because you have given your reason why. But let's go back to maybe as close as 2015. Some will say as far back, but as close as 2015, security was one of his top promise. And in hindsight, what would you think, or what would you say Buhari got right? Let's now be balanced here. What would you say that he got right, and where would you think that he fell short?
Okay, I have already said when that 2015 was happening, I can go and pick up my write-up. I'm happy. I like the internet. I asked a question when outgoing President Jonathan went to submit himself to Buhari and said, I congratulate you and I hand over to you. And everywhere became quiet. Before President Jonathan handed over, we were hearing the blood of the baboon and this and that. We were hearing that blood will flow. After President Jonathan handed over, everything now calmed down. I said, from my own assessment of statistics of violence in communities, every time every politician makes a threat, they have empowered and armed persons that they want to use to perpetrate violence. So when you do not perpetrate the violence anymore, those people, did you constrict them into the military, the police, or wherever, so that they will be gainfully employed? You left them in the bush with the weapons that you procured for them. Those same people were arrested, some were interviewed. They said they are in the bush pending their cows, and people came to give them weapons. Now, if I have weapons in my hand and I am idle, what will I do with it? So we continue to fool ourselves when we know that the rule of law was handicapped and the judicial system and the criminal justice system was handicapped to favor bandits and terrorists. That is why we have de-radicalization process. A soldier called me one day, one of my boys. He was crying. I paid money for his children's school fees and all that. He was crying that he was deployed to where they are protecting repentant bandits. And he's seen the ones that killed his friends and his co-soldiers and colleagues. And he's protecting them. And they are wearing uniforms. They are being fed. And they are being given all the attributes and the freedom that a prisoner cannot get. Meanwhile, people that snatch a phone, 33 Nokia, from Oshodi, from somebody's pocket, they are in prison.
Are still awaiting trial.
Yes, but the de-radicalized pass through this process. A ceremony is done, and they are given certificates and allowed to integrate into the society. When I say integrate into the society, it means that they all now have rights back to join any military, police, or any agency of their choice. And I told people that could listen then, I said, the only benefits for the radicalization process is to use that they are gathering as harvesting intelligence. If I gather those people together, I will put listening devices, I will give them their phones, I will put credit on their phones, I will give them access to communicate, I will begin to track all the things they are saying, the people they are calling, and I will be picking those people quietly and just take them to a separate place. And before you know, the ones you kept that you are doing the radicalization will give you enough intelligence to pick up the king's makers and the helmsmen in the forest. And before you know, everything will be dying down. Why? Because you will be removing all the things that furnish the flames and the embers. But they fail to do all of that. Instead, they are integrating them back into the society. What do you want me to say? 2015 to today, they are all big men. They hold meetings with village heads and military generals and policemen, bandits, terrorists that rape and kill taxpayers. They hang their rifle like this. The TVU people will be there to video it when they are talking. Now, they hang their rifle like this. They will be there to video it. When Bello, Toji, and all of them, they are now holding ground within the territorial integrity of my country. And they are collecting taxes from innocent citizens of this country, raping mothers in the presence of their children and their husbands. And the same people must pay tax tomorrow, or else the government will clamp down on the little businesses that they are doing.
At this point,
it's all a very funny story.
Well, it's quite sad, Dr. Roy, that analyzing all of these things, that repentant terrorist scenario that happened, when I watched the video with all of them wearing white, like that was supposed to signify that they are born again, or how would we put it in that sense? Over time, I still read a lot of stories where some of these repentant terrorists went back into the society and still caused harm to Nigerians. And I can imagine what a soldier would have also felt looking at how the killer of his friends and maybe his family or anything of that sort, he's seated eating the best of meals, and he's still going to be at the forefront watching and guarding them. So I don't know what Nigeria is doing at this point, or the president is doing at this point. This whole scenario of repentant soldiers is not enough. It's not enough solution for Nigeria. You have mentioned how there should be listening devices to get enough intelligence to quietly, emphasis on quietly, address the insecurity challenge in Nigeria. We have a comment on YouTube. Ereyemi Abayomi saying, good job you are doing. You shall be blessed. And thank you for putting that comment out. Unfortunately, we have to go right now. But before we go, I just want, Doctor, to please, while you wrap up, quickly address the comparison between Buhari's government and the current administration that we have right now. In 30 seconds, just tell me.
Yeah, before I do that, that Ereyemi Abayomi that made that comment is a military veteran.
Wow.
That guy that you see, he's very, very sick. He's managing to treat himself because the medical plan that military veterans have cannot take care of them. If you talk to him on phone, sometimes he's crying. He cannot, he cannot feed his family in Ikorodu, talk of his own self. I don't know when he will die, because we bury ourselves every day. Every day. There are veterans dying every day. Now, let's compare these two regimes. Let us use one thing to compare this regime. That thing is called VFN, Veterans Federation of Nigeria. We have been fighting to remove the legion that have been criminated and diverted, distracted. We said, let's remove the legion. We have had series of retreats to put together a wonderful document that will give birth to the Veterans Federation of Nigeria. Who will sign it? President Muhammadu Buhari is there. When all these things was going on, he left office. He wants to tell me that before he left office, he did not approve some kind of small money for boys and some things that are hanging. Oga, help us sign this before you go. He didn't see that the gamut of veteran community rely on the VFN to come to play. Because I don't want you to give me fish to eat. Give me nets. Let me go and make my own fish. Anytime I'm hungry, I do that. This same regime that we are now, they are joking. The palliative they promised veterans, it has not been given. Palliative. Palliative. That a president will come on air and say he's giving veterans palliative. It has not been given. Till today, they don't even care to know where the Veterans Federation Bill is. We are planning another protest now. What will happen is they will pick a peanut from all the outstanding and release that one so that they wait for your next protest. The whole regime, they are all the same. The veterans are the victims. Thank you very much.
So nothing different. Well, our comments here are still buzzing. We have Philip Alakome saying, "Well done, Your Excellency, sir." And I would definitely agree with Philip right here. Well done, sir. Thank you for bringing these key issues to life. Ereyemi Abayomo is also saying, "Respect, respect, respect. Almighty God will never let us down." And I believe that even beyond prayers, we have to start to highlight these issues that are happening in Nigeria. We can't take any more comment right now, but thank you for watching Politics Uncensored and joining this conversation. Thank you so much, Doctor. And to our viewers who also joined in and commented, thank you so much. I hope you never get tired of asking the hard questions. We will see you again on Friday. Do have a great day. Bye-bye.